Polling data. It's a fantastic resource when you're trying to at least gauge public interest, maybe sometimes, or what are the public thinking, so that you can sort of proceed politically in a sort of general direction, or at least get a sense of what the public think. And there are a couple of big polling institutions. One such today we're going to be looking at is YouGov. But why YouGov, you may ask? Well, we've seen over a past couple of days, certainly a couple of polls come out that have basically said people are regretting their Brexit decision, that they think Brexit wasn't a good idea, and that maybe, well, Brexit is going badly. And shock horror, it's exactly going the way we said it would back in 2016. All the chaos we predicted would happen, all the actions that would take place, all the problems that we said, well, you're going to do this and it's going to cause this problem. How do you intend to solve that problem or stop that problem from occurring? And of course, the answer was, oh, well, that's just Project Fear. And of course, one interesting thing, as we've always maintained with people, is, leave straight up lied. Brexiteers straight up lied because they wanted people to vote leave. One of the big reasons one of the big things they always tried to do was to say, look, the problems of the UK are European made. All the problems are in Europe. Oh, it's because we're in Europe. We can't solve the economy because we're in Europe. Oh, it's this European law. Oh, it's this European regulation. Oh, it's Europe, Europe, Europe. Well, we've been out of that for quite some time, and already we can see the overwhelming negative effects have been. So if Europe was a problem, and us being in Europe or being in the custom union or the single market was a problem, why then are we having all these troubles now? Now, of course, they'll go forward and say, oh, no, you don't understand. It's because we haven't got Brexit done yet. And of course, as we've said time and time again, Brexit is never enough. It is never, ever enough, because these people have a hardcore libertarian free market ideology. It's not just enough to leave the EU. It's not just enough to leave the single market. It's not just enough to leave the customs union. It's not just enough to leave the deal that we did with the European Union. It's never, ever enough for these Brexiteers, because they have a hardcore free market fundamentalist mindset that basically tells them, if you do this, somehow you succeed. And guess what? We saw what happened when you put someone like that in charge with Liz Truss. Even right now, for the past couple of months, Kersey Kwarteng has been trying to distance himself as much as physically possible to try and salvage whatever he possibly can of his political career. Because a lot of people said, well, after that absolute disaster, you are never, ever allowed a front bench position ever again. Why would we put Cami Kersey in charge of anything else? So he has been working overtime to try and distance himself from Liz Truss. But that's another story. Today, of course, I want to go over this poll from YouGov, because interestingly, this poll is specifically at people who voted leave. Because guess what? They're changing their mind on Brexit. But it also asked the question, very interestingly, of why. And sometimes the why is probably the most important reason. So we're going to have a look at what these respondents said in a bit. But before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, do remember to ring the bell as well, so you get notifications of when we drop a new video on the channel, or when we go live as well. you say, I had a very interesting good morning walk yesterday. We nearly sort of face planted a couple of times with the amount of mud going on at the moment. It's very muddy, but again, it's typical Yorkshire weather, as we say up here. So, as always, guys, thank you very much to all the support that you do show your channel. Like I say, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, my one of today's link called Buy Me Coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, you can join the Pony Club as well, the YouTube subscription, where, of course, with the Patreons as well, we do a weekly video for you as well. Like I say, once you join that, you get access to all the weekly videos that we have made for you as well. And like I say, it's starting to build quite a good content library for you at the moment. So you're getting a lot of value for that. So, as always, guys, let's go jumping into this poll because this is very, very interesting. Very interesting, especially one of the results, which I'm so happy. I'm so happy there is a realization, but we'll get into this in a bit. Here we go. So over we go to YouGov. So why have some Leave voters changed their mind on Brexit? A sense of things are generally getting worse, as well as the poor state of the economy top the list of reasons. The number of Leave voters who think it was wrong for Britain to vote to leave the EU has been steadily increasing since 2021, hitting a record 19% in November of 2022. And this is people who voted Leave. So this is increasing, and we've seen it constantly increase. So why have some Leave voters voted to change their mind on Brexit? Respondents were asked, in their own words, rather than choosing from a list of options, and the top reason given at 25% is just a general sense that things have gotten worse since Brexit. More specifically, the second most common answer given by Leave voters who have changed their mind is the current state of the economy / the rising cost of living at 19%. And like I say, here's the full. I hope you can see this. I don't think it's. Hang on. Fortunately, that's the biggest I can get it. But as you can see here, top of the shop, 25%. Things have gotten worse. Well, of course they have. We've seen it materially get worse. Then again, state of the economy. Well, we warned the economy would get worse because of Brexit. Shock horror. We always said it was this. The math on this was simple. It was 2 + 2 = 4. But the Brexiteers were coming out and saying, no, you don't understand. 2 + 2 is 5. Just don't believe that the project fear. And yet Rishi Sunak wants more people to learn mathematics. And then this is the interesting one, because this is a mixed one. And I think this is easily the most interesting one, because at 11%, the third option that came in was, we were lied to. It hasn't turned out as expected. That's interesting that it's, remember, because the respondents were asked what their opinion on this poll was. And the third response at 11% was, we were lied to. That is very, very interesting. But we'll just quickly rattle through the others before we go. So at 10%, it was the impact on trade and business. Again, we've been seeing that as well. It has been handled badly / a bad deal at 8%. We were better as a union / they lost the benefits of the EU at 8%. That's so much realization all of a sudden coming from people, because it's the typical, what do they say? Oh, you don't realize what you've lost until you've lost it. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are realizing that they've lost the benefits of the EU, particularly as we saw last year with the people going back on holiday to Europe. I think, again, you're going to see this summer more and more stories in the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, whatever, of chaos at airports. The EU ruined my holiday, etc. Again, it'll play like clockwork. I can guarantee it. The next one at 5%, impact on freedom of movement. 4%, immigration hasn't reduced. Again, we told you so. That wouldn't be the case if we left. 3%, there has been no improvement. And again, another 3%, there are now shortages of workers. Again, true. 1%, the timing impacted the success. Another one, Northern Ireland Protocol. And then they've got 2 others. And then 7 refused, didn't know. But yeah. What? Well, what can I say? We told you so. We warned you several times. We warned you constantly throughout all of this about what would happen. Unfortunately, as I've always said, you've got to separate. You've got to separate the Brexiteers, the people who told those lies, versus the people who voted for them. Because I've always said you've got to listen to sort of these people and listen to what they're saying and take them seriously. Where you get all these people in the north who voted for Brexit because the Brexiteers were telling them that if you leave the EU, your left behind town will become better. And that's why Boris Johnson, ran to victory, because they felt that they were being listened to, that they had won this vote on Brexit, that if we leave, we'll finally be listened to. And oh my God, here's Boris Johnson telling us what we wanted to hear. And of course, he hasn't delivered on it. We always said, in the general election lead up, I was saying Boris Johnson isn't going to deliver on his promise to level up. And guess what? He hasn't delivered. Neither did Liz Truss. Neither has Rishi Sunak, who actively took money away from those areas that voted to leave because they felt left behind, because they wanted to be listened to, they wanted more investment. And what's he done? He's taken money away from them and given it to areas that are more affluent because of some, I don't know, what did he dub it now? Labour algorithm? I mean, geez. It's just beyond parody, to be honest, at this point. But at least people are realizing, and the tide is turning, because you cannot keep the lie that was Brexit going forever. And we are now starting to see that, because Brexit now has officially happened. And prior to that, they were able to keep it up because it officially really hadn't happened. And then, of course, round rolls, 2020, 2021, 2022, when we were sort of, officially out, we've seen things get worse, materially get worse. And I think that was always going to be the case. Once people saw things materially get worse, then that was going to be it. And one of the things we always said was it was really sometimes difficult to point to physical things in people's lives and say, that is the EU making your life better, because it was really hard and really difficult to do that. And that is something that the Remain campaign, I said, failed to do. But it is something, certainly the next time we come around to sort of rejoining, it is something that we really need to point out to say, look, if we do this, we will get this benefit, and that will be able to make your life materially better. So, as always, guys, like I say, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, do remember to ring the bell as well. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, my one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, the Pony Club link down below as well, which is the YouTube subscription. And of course, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.